Good afternoon. It's Pat Miller, Gabby, and so excited to be with everybody. Our show, Stir Crazy in the Kitchen, is so fabulous. Let's start. Hey, Lynn, how
Hey,
are you?
I'm doing
Lynn,
well. How are you doing
Lynn,
today?
I'm doing great because I have you and Chef Ben, but you are a big part of Roth Living, and they have been generous enough to donate Ben and the kitchen. So
Yes,
we have great recipes to share. Are you
yes.
a cook like me?
I am a cook like you.
Okay, because I think we ought to point that out.
Yes.
And today, Chef Ben's making pumpkin bread. Have you ever made it?
I have not. I have had this pumpkin bread. I am a cook like you in that I'm a good eater, but I am a very novice actual cook. But I
Well,
have
I,
had this
okay.
pumpkin bread.
Well, I haven't. So
Yeah.
I am really mad because when I finished reading the recipe, oh my.
So good.
Okay, shall we go to it and
We should
introduce
go
Ben?
to it. Yep.
Okay, the star of the show,
Yes.
Chef Ben Davis. Hey, Ben, welcome.
Hi, Gabby. How are you doing today?
Well, I'm very unhappy because I don't have any pumpkin bread. And
I'll make sure we send some over to you.
you know what? I really wish you would. My day has been terrible. And
Uh-oh.
I would adore this recipe. Looks so good. And everybody can find it as they see in the back, stircrazyinthekitchen.com. And then if you like it, please like the page. And it'll be on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. And you are totally the star of this. And I can hardly wait.
Gabby, this is a great, easy recipe, fun to make. Not only if you're just home by yourself going a little nuts, you want something sweet. It's what I like to call sort of a countertop cake. It's great. You can make it up really quickly. Then you can just have it on your countertop whenever you need a quick snack or a bite with some coffee. There you go. You've got it. You've got something homemade and fresh and really fun.
Got the coffee.
Then you got the coffee. And obviously it's a seasonal dish. Obviously we're going to use pumpkin, but you know, if you have leftover butternut squash puree, you could use that instead of pumpkin. You don't have to use canned pumpkin if you don't want, although it's everywhere in the stores, obviously, because we're right on the cusp of Thanksgiving. So this is really easy to do, fun to do with kids as well, because it's so easy to make. So it'd be great to getting little hands involved in the stirring and mixing. It's something that it's almost impossible to kind of mess it up, which is great. Yeah, you can really do it easily. So
your lips to God's ears.
And it's got all those wonderful seasonal flavors that we love. I hesitate to ever use the word pumpkin spice, so I'll blend up my own spices for this. But it has all those flavors that people love about that pumpkin spice, that autumnal fall flavor. So we really love that. So it's really simple to make. It's like a quick bread, so very quick to put together. And so I have all the ingredients just laid out in front of me. So if you're ready, we'll get started and put one together. Okay. So easiest way to do this is if you have a scale, you can measure everything by weight. But if you don't have that, we've given you the instructions in the volume measurements as well. So very easy to do. So we're just going to start off with some. Now I'm using cake flour, so it's a little softer. If you don't have any cake flour available, that's okay. You can use all-purpose flour. It's not really going to change. The texture might be a little firmer, but other than that, it's not going to make a huge difference. Okay. So the next ingredient we've got is milk powder, or if you can find it, malted milk powder, which is Ovaltine, vanilla Ovaltine, right? You remember that from the old days, right?
My husband loved it. But so when you say this was one of my questions. You don't want me to put in 2 tablespoons of milk. You want a powder.
We want the powdered milk. We want milk powder or Ovaltine powder if you can find it. Just gives it a little extra flavor, but you want just some dried milk powder. Find it at any supermarket, right? Okay. It's going to be there with all the other milk products that are not refrigerated, like sweetened condensed milk, evaporated milk. There's going to be boxes of powdered milk, and it just gives a little richness to the cake, to the bread.
So if I didn't have any I should go buy it. I shouldn't
Yeah, you
leave
should
it
get
out.
some. And just keep it in your pantry, it'll last forever. It's great for a lot of different baking applications. So we're just gonna use a little bit of milk powder in there as well. So now here's our leavening ingredients. And just so everybody knows, this recipe is already adjusted for altitude here in Colorado.
Okay.
So, you know, the measurements on the leavening and all that kind of stuff are already adjusted for altitude. So we've got a little baking powder. Got a little baking soda as well. And we've got a little bit of kosher salt, right? If you don't have any kosher salt, right, just use half as much table salt, all right?
Okay, whoa, there's
like
no
it, though.
salt in this. It doesn't say salt, so add some
Good.
salt.
All right, so, well, it's only about a half a teaspoon. So cinnamon, some nutmeg, all those good spices for the fall. Ginger, powdered ginger, ground ginger, little allspice.
Mm.
And last but not least, we've got some ground cloves.
Mm.
Right, so this is all the dry ingredients, and you just want to blend those kind of together with the whisk, just so it looks nicely combined. So you can see how quickly this is going to go together. It takes longer to measure everything than it does to put this together. All right, so there we go. We've got our dry ingredients. We're going to set those aside in the bowl, and now we're going to deal with all the wet ingredients. Right? Very, very straightforward. Just got a couple of large eggs. So there we've got 2 eggs. Now we're going to add a cup of pumpkin puree, or if you've got, like I said, extra butternut squash puree, anything like that, you just want to add that puree, about a cup, into your mix. All right, so now we've got 2 different kinds of sugar. Just got about a half a cup of granulated white sugar. We've got a half a cup packed, right, of dark brown sugar.
That's what makes it good.
That's right. We've got 5 ounces, right, or just about 2/3 of a cup of a good neutrally flavored oil. So anything you want to use, don't use any olive oil, obviously, but you can use grapeseed oil or avocado oil. Just a vegetable oil will be just fine
Okay.
to add to this. We've got 2/3 of a cup of oil. And now we do have some milk, right? Just about 2 ounces or 4 tablespoons, quarter cup of milk, right? So we're gonna add 4 tablespoons of cold milk. And the last thing we've got, just a little bit of vanilla extract. Right? So all those go together. And you just wanna blend it so it looks nice and smooth. And get your eggs blended in nicely. You don't have to mix it too much, just so it looks together like that. So can you see on the camera? I can zoom
Yes.
in a little bit.
That helped.
Right? So there we go. You can see it's nice and smooth. Got your sugars blended.
Great.
Don't have to mix it too long. All
Oh,
right?
that's
Just like
great.
that.
Great.
So now what you're going to do for this, you're going to add the dry to the wet. So you take your dry ingredients, pour them over the top, and you can still use your whisk, right? You don't have to change utensils. Just use your whisk and just stir it till it comes together and there's no streaks of flour. You want to just get it blended in, but you don't have to mix it more than that. Just get it so it looks nicely
Oh,
blended.
good. That way
Just
you
like
can
that.
see it now. We can see it. No, it looks
You can
great.
see that? Okay.
Yeah.
So how we use that, right? Just stir it together. So you can see why this is fun for kids. You can get them teaching, how to measure and all that good stuff. Plus then they can have some fun just stirring things together. So now what I've got is an 8.5 by 4.5 inch loaf pan, and all I've done is sprayed it with a little bit of pan spray. And then I took a piece of parchment paper and I just laid the parchment up one side and down the other, so it just makes a little liner, like a little sling, if you will, that goes across. You don't have to cover the ends, just the sides, all right? And this just makes it easier to remove the bread from the pan when you're done, right? So it makes it
Right.
much easier. So now we're just gonna take our batter and we're gonna pour it in.
Oh, that's still pretty
Obviously.
loose. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a nice loose batter. Now this is gonna take a while to bake, so you're gonna wanna have an oven preheated, 350 degrees, and make sure that your oven rack is in the middle part of your oven. You can be slightly in the lower half, but you want it more towards the middle, not not too much near the top, all right? Because quick breads always need a nice time to like gently rise, get that nice domed brown exterior, and just cook. So it's gonna bake for approximately an hour. It's a very straightforward test on this. Just take a toothpick or a skewer and insert it into the middle and pull it out. If it comes out mostly clean with just a little bit of dried batter like clinging to it, so it looks a little big, then you're done, right? Because it will keep cooling and firming up as it cools on your countertop. So there you go, you got it all ready to go. We're gonna pop it right into our oven here.
Here he goes again. He just gets it done so fast.
Just get it started, let it bake for about an hour. So of course.
Okay, so I can start that before I do the glaze.
That's right. So here's one that I've already baked off, and you can see how it looks when it's done, right? It took very, very quick. I have the world's fastest oven right here. So
yeah.
You just see how beautiful that is, right? It's nicely baked, a lovely golden brown color, nice dome. You get just a really nice looking loaf for your cake. So let's talk about making that glaze.
Can I talk about eating this thing right now?
Well, we're gonna glaze one, right? We're gonna glaze this one, but I want to show you how to make this glaze because it's a lot of fun flavors.
Okay, yeah, I have a question on that too.
All right, that's good. I'm glad you have questions, Gabby. That's fantastic. So let's just get all the ingredients assembled for our glaze. So we've got a little bit of powdered sugar. So there's our powdered sugar. To that, we're gonna add about 1/8 of a teaspoon of ground cinnamon. And now we're gonna add 1/4 of a teaspoon of kosher salt. And the salt is what makes it. This is sort of like a salted caramel, sort of brown butter glaze. Oh, there's my other whisk. Oh, you can grab my whisk.
Well, so the first part took very little dirty stuff too.
That's right. It's easy to clean up. That's always the best thing.
Oh,
so now we're just going to whisk together the dry ingredients, the powdered sugar and the spice and the salt. So here's where it gets really interesting. We're going to make a little brown butter. So you need 2 tablespoons of unsalted butter. We've got a small saucepan over here, right? So we're just going to add the butter to the saucepan, right? Now make sure you've got a lid for it. So we've got a lid for our saucepan. Put that on about a medium flame, right? And just let it start to melt, right? We want to let the butter melt completely. And then the solids and the milk solids are going to separate out, right? And you're going to hear some popping, right, as the water evaporates in your butter, right? Because you're going to hear a little bit of popping in there, but that's okay. That's why you want the lid on to keep those splatters from going all over your stove. Let it melt. Those solids are going to drop. Those solids are going to slightly brown, right, to give it that wonderful nutty sort of toasted hazelnut flavor to the butter. And then once it's nice and brown, we're going to add that into our powdered sugar mixture, and then we're going to add 3 more ingredients. We've got a little tiny bit.
Well, when you're doing this and browning it, is it reducing the amount of butter or is it caramelizing it?
It's just caramelizing those milk solids, so it just makes it nice and nutty brown, right? That's the goal that we have for that, right? It's just to get that nice nut brown flavor. So the other ingredients we'll add to our glaze are a little bit of vanilla extract, some apple cider or apple juice, just a little bit, plus a little bit of milk. So we're going to put all those together. Teaspoon of milk, 2 teaspoons of cider or apple juice, and then just about 1/4 of a teaspoon of vanilla extract. So we're just going to let this melt.
If you don't happen to have apple juice or apple cider, could you put a little liqueur or something in?
You can certainly, you want to put a little brandy in there. You could put a little bit of whiskey in there. Maybe if you have some apple brandy, that would be wonderful, or apple whiskey.
Okay.
And if you don't have either one of those, you can just add a little extra milk, right? Just a couple of teaspoons of milk. You could just add that, and that will just give you a wonderful flavor. Or if you want something a little more bright, you might put a squeeze of lemon juice in there as well.
Ooh, my goodness, you're making me more hungry.
So now I can hear it starting to pop, right? And you can make this glaze at any time while your cake is baking, right? Just let it bake, right? You can make the glaze and just set it aside. That's going to be just fine. You don't have to wait, right? But what I can hear now is I can hear a nice pop in, right?
And I'm not gonna burn the pan.
No, you don't want to burn the pan. That's why you don't want to use too high a flame. But again, all you're trying to do is just lightly brown that butter, right? And this is a wonderful flavor that
Use a hot pad. Oh, he's burning his hand.
coming any of those things. So now we're just going to let it toast. We got a nice hot pan.
Here,
It's
show us.
browning. So I'm going to show you.
There.
Just see the butter is melted, and you can't really see, you cannot see it too well, but there's some brown bits in the bottom. Those are the milk solids from your butter, right? That have gotten a nice nutty consistency and flavor. So now we're going to pour that into our bowl with our, and then here's the milk and the vanilla and the cider or the apple juice. And now all you need to do is stir that together. Right? See how simple this is. Until you have it, so it's nice and blended, right?
Oh, this is great that you're showing us the consistency too.
You can just see. It'll just run off your whisk. It'll be nice. It'll be thick,
Put your
but
hand down. Put your hand down a little. There you
all
go.
right, can you see that?
Yeah, that's better.
All right.
Perfect. Okay.
Okay, perfect. So now let's come
Could
back
I have
over
a
to,
spoon and just eat that?
you know, I've had other people tell me that as well. They want to just eat they want to just eat the frosted glaze. They don't want the rest of the cake.
May or may not be.
Oh,
They may not be my boss, right?
Oh, Lynn, I would love it.
So here we go.
sorry.
We just got our
Cookies.
glaze. Let the cake cool completely. So you want to let the
Oh,
pumpkin bread, the pumpkin cake cool for, you know, at least 30 to 45 minutes before you put the glaze on. Otherwise, it'll liquefy too much and you won't get a nice buildup of the glaze on it. So just got my spatula here, just spreading that across.
oh.
There you go. Simple,
If anybody
right? This is-
loved me, they'd bring me some right now.
Well, I'll get a hold of John. I think he's.
Okay, I'll be downstairs waiting. Oh, this is that day that could make everything better.
Right? And it really, you know, this, like I said, how easy is this? I mean, to put it together, you can go really quickly. You can leave it on the counter. This will keep really beautiful and fresh on your counter for 3 or 4 days without drying out. It's nice and moist.
Whoa, but you have to cover it.
Yeah, just cover it lightly, but don't refrigerate it, right?
Oh,
Just leave it on
really?
the counter. Oh, yeah, don't refrigerate it. Just leave it on the counter for a few days, and it won't last that long, probably anyway.
No, okay, what would you cover? What do you cover it with?
If you have a cake dome, that would be great. If not,
Okay.
just let the glaze set, and then you can just very lightly cover it with some foil or some plastic wrap. And it'll keep
Oh,
it
chef.
for 3 or 4 days. So.
Oh, chef. Hey, Lynn, I know you cook and I cook the same. How much do I have to pay you? I'll meet you at any place. Oh,
We can we'll figure it out. I'll text you, as the kids say.
okay. This is stircrazyinthekitchen.com. If you
That's right.
hit subscribe, you will have every recipe of the day, just like I do in front of me, and you will be, oh my heavens, so happy. And you can watch Chef Ben all during the week when you think, I've got this, but I remember he said something. So Chef stirfryinthekitchen.com. Oh, Ben, if you
We'll get some over
weren't
to you real soon,
married
Gabby.
and you were my age, I'd propose. Okay,
All
and
right, Gabby.
next
All right.
week we're celebrating Hanukkah
That's
in the
right.
holidays.
That's right. That's right. We're going to be ready for Hanukkah. We're going to do some latkes so that you can, you know, celebrate that festival of lights by doing a little frying. Which what could be worse than that? Is having something so
Nothing
comforting
better
as that. So.
than bad. Okay, this was
All right.
perfect. Love you,
Great.
Lynn. Love you,
All right.
Ben.
Thanks,
Great
Gabby.
day, all. Thank
All right.
you.
Bye.